Hello and welcome to Matchday -2 on LCFC TV, Facebook and Twitter. I'm Dan Bates and I'm joined in the studio today by two former City defenders, Gerry Taggart and Matt Elliott. Good afternoon, gents.
Afternoon, Daniel.
Afternoon, Dan. The gruesome twosome are back.
Yeah, we've seen far too much of each other here, haven't we?
Well, we're just over 12 hours ago. Obviously, Leicester beat West Ham. A fantastic performance, wasn't it, last night, Matt?
Yeah, they were back in tip-top form, weren't they? That was pretty close to, as good as anything that you've seen, really, in terms of the general performance. West Ham had a little bit of a go, didn't they, at the start of the second half, and you thought, oh, okay, it's the game in the balance, but things got back into normal order, didn't they? As soon as that, Leicester always carried the threat, didn't they? Even then, and once the third goal went in, it was game over. But much more like it, really, if you like, it's an emphatic response, really, to little murmurings and grumbles on the sidelines, really. There was a little bit of anxiousness and concern more than anything, wasn't it? And just a worry that all the good work from the first half of the season perhaps is going to not crumble, but drift away a little bit. But the result obviously was huge, but for me, the performance was just as important. The fact that they played with such vitality and such purpose and energy was really reassuring for everyone involved.
Coming up on Matchday -2, we'll hear from Brendan Rodgers, Jose Perez. We'll preview the game with Brentford as well at the weekend, as well as looking back at the goals from last night. And as Matt said, Gerry, I think the important thing last night was bouncing back, wasn't it, from the Southampton game and the Burnley game?
Yeah, well, we were speaking about it in the pre-match pint last night that this could have been the first time since 2014 that Brendan Rodgers had lost 4 league games in a row. So obviously that was a bit of a curse he wanted to get rid of.
3.
So no, if he'd have lost last night, that would have been 4. The first time he'd have lost 4 games.
No, 3.
3 was it?
Yeah.
3 on the trot.
3 on the trot. Sorry. Yeah. So that obviously he didn't want that to happen. And as Matt said, if you listen to Brendan in his post-match interviews, he always bangs on about the performance first and foremost. Which against Burnley it was better than it was against Southampton, but last night I agree with Matt. It was back to their best, zipping the ball about, high energy. We talked about that again. That's what Leicester needed to bring into this game, and when they played the way they did last night, especially in that first half, West Ham couldn't live with them.
During Matchday Live before the game on LCFC Radio, Matt, we were talking about how Leicester were looking to recover from those games, and I asked you, do you think from kick-off they'll be straight at it? And that's exactly pretty much what we saw, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, intentions are one thing, but going out there and actually executing your intent is, it's not always straightforward. Pretty much every game that certainly I ever played in, and I'm sure it's still the case today, is, start well, be focused and take the game to the opposition, particularly at home, and make your first touch a good one, etc. And that mantra never really changes, but it's whether you actually go and go and strut your stuff once you're out there. But Leicester, collectively they just looked bright and lively, didn't they? Both mentally and physically, and they just had too much for West Ham. West Ham were, at full tilt just to stay in contention. They defended well in and around their own box. Outside of that, they were outclassed generally. Obviously,
Ricardo was central, Gerry, to a lot of what Leicester did good last night. Harvey Barnes as well, the two of them in particular in the first half, and they linked up for both the first and the second goals, didn't they?
Yeah, excellent. Obviously Ricardo, man of the match. I say, Matt says begrudgingly, because every week, he's picked out by not only ourselves but by other people. So instrumental here. Lovely little, he clips it, but Harvey Barnes, he starts that move. He doesn't start the move off, but he starts that penetrative pass going forward, and then you just see him follow his run on. And obviously, I think it's Creswell's fault that plays him onside, so he's had to time that run. As you say, the ball just gets reset. Great pass from Tielemans, and here we go. That's the one. That's the penetrative pass, and he just follows his run on. And you just see Ricardo just clip it over the keeper's foot, and Harvey Barnes is in no one mark, and fantastic confidence booster for him as well.
It was a better goal than I realised, actually. Watching it last night, saw the final stage of it, as Gerry said there, you know, the give and go, if you like, from Barnes to Ricardo. But before that, the build-up was excellent as well. And Ricardo, again, so influential. And the fact that Leicester are getting extra bodies into the box like that, eventually that was crucial because West Ham couldn't cover all angles. Sooner or later, the ball was going to fall to someone in a good position, as it did there.
Yeah, well, that was Ricardo to Barnes. This is now Barnes to Ricardo, and what a finish, Gerry, this is.
Yeah, fantastic. Again, if you watch the initial build-up play, it's a little give and go. It's one-touch football, and the ball gets played out wide to Harvey. And he's got the beating of Zabaleta all evening. You know, Zabaleta just can't live with him. But for him to pick that pass out between all those bodies and to lay it on a plate for Ricardo to come on and, you know, smash it first time, fantastic bit of play. And again, it just shows you that, you know, after his goal on Sunday, he's just growing in confidence. See, Zabaleta, he just upends him, see you later, and that is just perfect. Ricardo, lovely time run, doesn't get into the box too early, just sort of watches and sees what's happening, just lets the play develop, and then he realises that what a ball that is from Barnes. I best get on my bike and get into the box.
How good a finish is this, Matt? Because he's a defender. He's not a striker, but he's hit that so cleanly and with such confidence.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many good aspects of that goal as well. And what Gerry's saying there, Soyuncu winning the first header.
First header, yeah.
You know, he could have been forgiven for trying and just, you know, trying to mop up at a later stage. But he's forced the issue. He's played that wide. And again, bodies in the box. There was Iheanacho, Maddison was in there, Perez, Barnes, who laid the ball off, and then ultimately Ricardo. And the movement was too much for West Ham. In terms of the finish, yeah, it was so easy that, I mean, he actually missed a similar type of chance, probably an easier one, earlier on in the game. You remember when he sliced it a little bit over the bar, and it was certainly closer to goal, maybe a bit more on an acute angle, but the second time lucky. But he got it bang on, didn't he? And that was quite easy, that ball, to get a little bit carried away and loft it over the bar with power. And he's kept his foot over it, controlled, just struck through it really, rather than lashing at it. And that enabled it to not only just carry on its trajectory, it actually like dipped down, didn't it, you know, as it went towards the net. Excellent technique, yeah, because the tendency is to blast that over the bar.
And you made a good point there. Let's not forget Soyuncu's header. You know, it just shows you how important it is to win those first contacts. Whether the ball's in the air or on the ground, because that move comes to nothing. It doesn't even begin unless Soyuncu wins that header against Haller.
And that was in what, the 44th, 45th minute as well. So you could have forgiven Soyuncu for just letting Haller have the ball there and just taking half time.
They're 1-0 up, they're cruising. You know, they're not a goal threat, West Ham, at that stage, but it just shows you how important it is as a defender to keep doing the right things. You hear people harping on about it. Do the basics well. Always do the right things, and that's exactly what Soyuncu does there. Sees the ball, goes, right, I've got a chance of winning this, bang, wins it, and it leads to a goal. I know there's a lot of work to do, but that first contact that he wins then leads to a goal, and that just shows how important it is.
And also how quickly he won the ball. It meant West Ham were scrambling defensively. They weren't set up. They had a lot of bodies there, but they weren't expecting that ball to come back so quickly. They were reacting to it, like, this ain't meant to happen. They were having a bit of a panic up, and then good run by Perez, I think it was, who's dragged a couple of defenders in and left the space for Ricardo.
And also, the one other thing that we seen last night that we probably haven't seen in the last few games is the one-touch give and goes in and around the box. I thought last night it was excellent.
Yeah, brilliant finish from Ricardo. The man that plays in front of him, of course, Jose Perez, got the third and fourth in the game, and he said afterwards he was delighted to get off the mark at King Power Stadium.
Well, it feels so great, no? To be able to score at home. It took a bit of time, but worth it at the end. So two today, and hopefully many more to come.
Collectively, as a group, what was the feeling at full time and coming off the pitch there? Because performances like that must give you so much confidence.
Yeah, we need to take advantage of that confidence, of this result, because we have been struggling a little bit at home the last couple of home games, a part of the last two results, but that's the reaction of a big team, of a team that that want to keep pushing, to keep winning games, and proving that we are in a great position.
Jose Perez there speaking to LCFC TV after the game. Matt, what will those 2 goals do for his confidence, do you think? His first one's, of course, here at King Power Stadium.
Yeah, do him a world of good. But unbelievable, that really, isn't it? I mean, the amount of games that Leicester have had, the way they've been playing, how successful they've been in the first half of the season, and the quality of player that Perez is. The fact he hasn't scored at home up till now is astounding, really, and he's had ample opportunity, in truth. But that would do him a huge favour, wouldn't it? The penalty, fair play to him for taking that. There must have been other candidates who were willing to step forward. Maddison, in particular, it springs to mind. But his general play was good last night, as were the players right across the board. But
a great impact as well from Kelechi and
again, fair play to him. He came straight on with his opportunity in the first half, got involved, received a throw-in, nice and strong, short touch, laid it off. Tillerman's put in Ricardo, half an opportunity, and then after twisting and turning, strong physically, the good skill, good technical ability, good desire, good strength and pace. There's so many elements there to good centre forward play, and hats off to him. He's been exceptional when he's had opportunities.
What about the penalty, Gerry?
Yeah, he just gives the keeper the eyes, doesn't he? He knows exactly what he's doing. Just wraps his foot round the ball right at the last minute, sends the keeper the wrong way, and that's the finish of someone who's feeling confident. Some people look at it and say, well, it's not a great penalty, it's a bit central, but it's all in the run-up. He gives the keeper the eyes, the keeper falls for it, and he goes the opposite side. So there's no such thing as a bad penalty. Obviously, they say, well, if the keeper goes the right way, he's got a chance of saving that, which he has, but I'll go back to it again. It's all in the run-up, and then at the last minute, wrapping his foot round the ball to send him the opposite way. So to me, that stinks of confidence.
Do you think that second goal that he did score as well was a sign of the confidence he took from scoring the penalty?
It must be.
Is that the right terminology, stinks?
Well, I don't know.
I just negative context, isn't it? But
no, but
we know what you mean. We got you.
It smells of confidence. But again, when you look, he scored 6 goals in 3 games. Jose, and it just shows you the potential this guy's got. And he has been struggling a little bit for form and a little bit for confidence. But this is top class. That's the finish of a top class player, because he knows he's waited. He hasn't panicked with 2, 3 West Ham defenders in and around him. He hasn't panicked. His first touch is true. A lot of times players will mistouch that. If you watch here now, he gets a little flick on it initially, flicks it on the Iheanacho. But watch this touch. Bang, waits, and then pokes it through his legs intentionally. And he knows where the keeper is. He knows that if it goes through the defender's legs, the keeper has no chance. That is the finish of a top-class player.
He gives himself a couple of yards, doesn't he, Matt? Just before Kelechi picks the ball up, he takes a few steps back, doesn't he, to try and give him that little bit of space.
Yeah, his movement is excellent. Sometimes he's not able to capitalise on his clever play because he doesn't have that blistering pace. But he manipulates the ball, caresses the ball, doesn't he? He's got a lovely soft touch, but sometimes gets knocked out of the game a little bit. I'm only surprised, and I'm with Gerry, that is a top quality finish. He's premeditated that. He's not just hit it and hope for the best. He's waited for the challenge to arrive. That wrong foot's the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper didn't even dive for it, no chance. It's a real high-level skill to do that, because sometimes it used to happen to us, didn't it? And you used to think, oh, you lucky so-and-so. But then you realise some of the top players, they mean that. But it's only the top players who do that. And Perez, how good a finisher he is capable of being, it just amazes me that he doesn't score more regularly, because he has missed some excellent opportunities semi-regularly, hasn't he? But he's capable of being a top-class finisher.
And that's something you always hear Brendan going on about, is his wide players or his wide forward, getting more goals. And so you've got 2 players, or Jose getting 2, Harvey Barnes 2 in 2 games, 3 and 4. So that, for Brendan Rodgers, is music to his ears, because they're chipping in, they're helping the likes of Jamie, and Maddison, who have been, the standout goal-scoring components of this team throughout the season. So it's important.
Well, when you play any position, to be honest, Even us two as centre halves, you wanted to score. I was disappointed if I didn't score in a game. You know, and that's as a centre half. Midfielders definitely, and wide forwards as they are now. They're not just there to provide assists like an out-and-out winger like Steve Guppy maybe. Even Guppy's got his fair share of goals. You've got to be looking to chip in without a doubt, and they are now.
Yes, congratulations to Jose Perez for his first goals here at King Power Stadium. Still to come, we'll preview the FA Cup fourth round clash with Brentford and also give a bit of an injury update to those two that came off in the first half yesterday.
Saigon.
We are an instinct that ignites action. We are a journey, taking one step more. And we are the heart that beats as one. We are proud to be more. De Montfort University, Leicester.
Welcome back to Matchday -2 here on LCFC TV with me, Dan Bates, Matt, Elliott and Gerry Taggart. It wasn't all smiles, unfortunately, last night. There were a couple of injury issues in that first half for Leicester City, Matt, that we can look at.
Yeah, of course, Mendy was well, he was the first to go, wasn't he? Yeah, and disappointed for him because he's done so well. It's miraculous, really, the way he's come back into the fray. You know, perseverance, to say the least, isn't it? Most people were assuming he was going to be on his way out of the club one way or another. But, yeah, a bit worrying, that injury for Mendy, isn't it? Because it wasn't as a result of a challenge. From what I saw, there's something structural in his knee, and he's had problems before. And feel bad for him, and rightly got a warm reception as he came off the pitch, because he's done well on his few appearances. But Jamie, yeah. I mean, that was a worry straight away, and you're thinking, you could see. I thought, as it's been determined, I think anyway, that it was his gluteus maximus. Some have got ones bigger than others, but that's another story. But
yours is double XL maximus.
Well, exactly. If I pull mine, we're all in trouble, aren't we? But it didn't look too sinister, and the fact that he was able to even attempt to carry on was that's a result in itself. And then obviously, correctly, he came off and forced off anyway. But the news is not too negative, is it, in the early stages?
Well, we can hear that news from Brendan Rodgers himself, who spoke to LCFC TV after the game.
Yeah, Papis was his knee, so but not fully sure on how long that will be. Jamie, thankfully, wasn't his hamstring; it was just his glute. I felt a sensation in it, and it was sort of spasmed really in that period. So, but we'll have a look at that tomorrow. And but it didn't look too serious.
So fingers crossed, Gerry. It doesn't seem too serious, as Brendan Rodgers was saying there. And in terms of Jamie Vardy, it's not something Leicester fans have had to worry about too much during his career, is it?
No, he's soldiered on season after season. He's been carrying something or other for the last 3 or 4 seasons, Jamie, but he still manages to get out onto the pitch. And I think, you're right, normally if he has got an issue or he's not playing, you don't see it on the pitch. So that's the first time in my memory that I can remember Jamie Vardy getting injured while, he's been playing on the pitch. So that's obviously the silence around the place shows you that, it was a big cause for concern. But, fingers crossed, he'll get wrapped up in cotton wool. I don't think he would have played anyway at the weekend, but, because of the nature of the game on Tuesday night.
It's a strange injury, wasn't it?
Yeah, no. But
it'll teach him not to
in
strike the ball
that,
properly, wouldn't it? It was a bit of a miskick, and that's added to why he's done it, I think.
If you look at Iheanacho's performance, you've got to give him credit for that yet again, Iheanacho. He looks a different player. And obviously, Mendy, I thought, he's come back and I thought he did well on Sunday. He did well again last night. He's gone off injured, but who comes on to replace him? Probably the biggest applause of the night for Wilfred Ndidi, coming on as sub. And, he's the one player that everybody's been wanting back, so he's been replaced, they've been replaced, on the night by 2 able, if not more capable players, so yes, it's a concern about Jamie, but probably less concern with Mendy because Wilfred would be an automatic starter in Brendan's plans anyway.
Did you see him warming up, Wilfred? Some of the leaps he was doing in the stretches, unbelible.
How good of a sight?
Out of a Jackie Chan film.
How good of a sight was that for Leicester fans, seeing him coming back?
It's a huge boost, isn't it? I think it just, as did last night in general, it just sort of calmed the nerves a little bit, didn't it?
Well,
not that there's too much to be nervous about, to be honest.
People are putting 2 and 2 together. This bad run's coincided with Wilfred Ndidi. When I say bad run, this mini.
It's a factor.
Yeah. So they're putting 2 and 2 together, saying Wilfred Ndidi's not playing, Leicester aren't winning games. It is a factor. It's not the only factor. No. Let's get that straight. But it's obviously been a bit of a concern. There's no doubt about that. How big a concern is, conjecture. We can all sit here and argue about it till the cows come home, and we'll be no further. But as I said, that applause for Wilfred Ndidi tells you that the fans, are absolutely over the moon that Wilfred's back fit and back in the team.
I think opposition players as well. You think back to being involved in games. There's certain players, aren't there? You think, not that I don't fancy him, but you think I'd rather he wasn't involved. And I think Wilfred Ndidi is one of those. When you come up against him, as an opposition midfielder, you think, it's going to be a tough old night tonight. Am I going to get any joy out of him? And more often than not, the answer is no.
Yeah, 3 points for Leicester last night. Results also went in favour of the Foxes elsewhere last night as well, obviously with Manchester United losing, which means Leicester extend that gap to 5th place. Gerry, how good is that?
Yes, incredible. And that's, again, after the game last night, we were touching on it about...
That's on the back of a, inverted commas, poor run.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what we were talking about last night, that even though Brendan Rodgers will not say it, even though the players will not talk about it, I can't talk about it because that's what I do is talk. That result last night, coming off the back of a couple of dodgy results, must give those players the self-belief now that they're in with a real opportunity here of finishing top 4 without a shadow of a doubt. And nobody seems to want 4th place from the best of the rest. Okay, Tottenham won. Man United lost. Chelsea drawn again. So that result was massive for that confidence boost to give the players and the self-belief to give the players that they must know they're on to something here. And as I say, they won't come out and say it publicly. But I'm sure Brendan would have said to them, look at that result, lads. Look at all the other teams faltering below you. You've regained that gap between yourselves and 5th place. It's here for the taking. It definitely is here for the taking. They just have to make sure to grab it with both hands, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if you see that mini blip again throughout the rest of the season. I'm not saying they won't get beat.
Well, they put 2 on the trot, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
All of
2
them.
on the trot. But what I'm saying is you won't see, I'm sure the players will understand now that they can't let their grasp on the top 4 go now.
Yeah, fantastic opportunity for Leicester. Before they next play in the league, though, Matt, they've got 2 cup games to negotiate. First up, it's Griffin Park and Brentford at the weekend.
Yeah, it's, on the face of it, on paper, probably one of the toughest ties you could get, because Brentford are a very good side. They're on the up generally as a club. They're developing, progressing. They're going to a new stadium, I think next season, isn't it? And they go and they're in the highest position probably the club has ever been in its history, and good manager in charge, young players who are looking to make a name for themselves, and a lot of things going well at home, in a cup tie. And more often than not, you look at it and you think, well, right, is there much tougher? Because if you went to some Premier League outfits, okay, bar the top 2 maybe, there might be a few changes, etc. So you think Brentford will really want to pit themselves against the quality of Leicester. It would do Leicester a favour if there were a few changes, because they've got their own objectives to achieve as well, haven't they? They're looking genuinely at automatic promotion. I think Leeds will be twitching big time, looking over their shoulders, because mentality-wise, after what happened last year, it could happen again. So anyway, Brentford have got different agendas maybe, other than the FA Cup. That may work in Leicester's favour in terms of change of personnel. Leicester will make changes as well. But whichever way it transpires, it's going to be a tough game at the weekend, that's for sure.
Well, both Leeds and West Brom, Gerry, at the top of the Championship have faltered of late. At one point, I think they were 10 or 12 points
over
clear.
a long period as well.
Now it's 3 or 4. So Brentford's ambitions themselves may have changed since that draw even was made. At that time, it could only have been playoffs for them. Now it could be automatic promotion.
Both managers have got big decisions to make before this game at the weekend. Brentford have a massive game next Tuesday against Nottingham Forest, I think.
Yeah.
Which is huge because they're up there too.
Because they're up there too. It's a massive game for them. So the Brentford manager has to prioritise playing Leicester and the game against Nottingham Forest, because it's on Tuesday night. So that is a big game for them.
I think they will prioritise the league game.
So,
because are they going to win the FA Cup?
Well, this is it. So, and then obviously Brendan has to prioritise going to Brentford, the potential of getting beat by a lower league opposition on Tuesday night against Villa. So there's a lot of pondering, a lot of if, buts and maybes. There's a lot of, stirring to do to try and find a formula. Because obviously Brendan wants to do well in both cup competitions, not just one. And obviously Brentford have been given a lifeline to automatic promotion because of the other 2 teams faltering. So to try and predict what's going to happen at the weekend is a fool's game, in my opinion. Yeah. So I'm not. It's going to be hard, but I would suspect that both teams will prioritise Tuesday night's games.
Yeah, without doubt. Yeah, I mean Leicester can still accommodate the FA Cup though as well. Though genuinely, the team they put out against Wigan.
Yes.
That was more than sufficient to do the job, and it's not like he's not belittling.
Yeah, but Brentford are a different.
No, I know they're a different kettle of fish.
A kettle of fish to Brentford at home.
Yeah,
because it's not a nice place to go. I've played there, and it's not a nice place to play football.
I've got some
old
memories of there as well.
And I tell you now, the pitch slopes off at the end, and if you get your footing wrong, you're in the crowd.
Yeah, but whatever team Brendan puts out, if
capable.
things were to go awry, you couldn't label any blame on him, because they've shown before that they've been capable of.
I'm just saying,
very well.
It's just a more of letting people understand that this is
one.
not an easy tie by any stretch.
No, absolutely. But
Whatever
it's
team you put out.
It's set to be a very exciting FA Cup tie. Nonetheless, of course, you can listen to it all on LCFC Radio on Saturday. It's an early start. It's a 12:45 kick-off. So our build-up on LCFC Radio starts at 9:45. That's followed by extra time on Monday evening on LCFC Radio. Straight after that, the under-23s are in action. They're playing Dinamo Zagreb in the Premier League International Cup. You can watch that for free on LCFC TV. Very quickly, you two, before we go, can we have a quick prediction ahead of the weekend, please?
Well, before prediction, it's like a nice T-shirt, son.
Thank you very much.
With the sleeves turned down.
It does, yeah. Yeah, it looks
Okay.
good underneath
You
your
nearly wear it
jacket
as
as
well
well.
as me.
Yeah.
Prediction, oh yeah.
But we don't want to draw, do we?
No.
Because I'm in the Lake District when the replays.
Oh, that's the main thing, yeah, as long as you're sorted out. I'm going 1-1.
Cheers, Matt.
No Lake District trick for Gerry.
Well, I've got to go 2-1 Leicester City.
2-1 Leicester. Well, thank you very much, Miley. Thank you very much, Gerry Taggart. You'll both be in LCFC radio action in some form on Saturday, I'm sure. So we'll hear from you then. And thank you very much to everyone watching Matchday -2.